Welcome to Amberg Acres. So before we get started on this, back on this farmhouse, got a few things to go over. We had Pablo here this week, and we didn't take the time to film any video or anything, but I'm gonna go over what we did. So the first thing we did is we finished up the chimney from last year. So right up here, we finished this chimney. We added another section and we put the bars on to support it, and then we put a different type of seal here on the metal. It's like a rubber silicone type seal. It's supposed to hold up to the heat and not let the water drip through onto the stove. Last year I just finished it up. I put some caulk around there, and the heat from the stovepipe and everything, that caulk kind of ran through and kind of dripped. It started dripping partway through the winter. So we fixed that all up. So we're good to go now for this next winter. The other thing we did the triangle up here, the siding and the flashing. If you remember last year, I had a special order that flashing because nobody had the flashing for on top of a roof like that. So I had a special order it. So by the time it came, it was already, the snow was flying. So I got one piece up there and I left her sit. And then, well, obviously this spring I had my shoulder problem. So he came up and we finished that triangle there. And then we sided this back wall of this lean-to keep the snow from blowing in, because this is the west side here. So when the snow blows, it kind of blows in on our tractors and stuff. So we sided this here, just this one side, and we left the ends open here so that we can still drive through it. But this should help with the snow, you know, blowing and drifting in onto our machinery. So then lastly, the first load of materials for the new pole barn came while Pablo was here. So we had to go through all of this and figure out what they actually sent us, because the shipping order that they sent us had all the treated lumber and everything on it, and none of that stuff was on the truck. So we had to go through everything and try and figure out what they actually sent us and check it off our list. And so hopefully this week there's another order coming with the rest of the materials. The garage doors were missing, all the treated lumber was missing. So I had to get on the phone and I had to call, and you know how it goes. Oh yeah, they must have forgot to put that on the truck. Well, where is the stuff, you know? So anyhow, we're not in a hurry for this. My plan is to wait until, you know, more closer to September to start building this, till it cools off a little bit, where it's not so hot and stuff. You know, when they send you a packing order and all the stuff is listed on there that it's supposed to be on the truck, and none of it's on the truck, it makes you wonder what's going on over there. Anyhow, I have to restack this lumber. I can't lift this with my tractor. All right, so I'm going to take the shorter pieces, put them on one pile, and then hopefully I can lift this section with the 20-some footers. Hopefully I can lift that as one pick, set that somewhere else. So that's the first thing we're going to do today, is we're going to start restacking this lumber. There's the first load. Hopefully that's supported well enough. And I'll probably cover it with a tarp or something. I don't know if I can lift that second load. That second load still looks pretty heavy. So the second load will go down here on the other side of the tarp here where I parked the tractor. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these ones that they have stacked around it there. I'm going to take those all and make it a separate pick. And then hopefully this these yellower pieces, hopefully I can pick that up as one pick with the tractor. Normally you probably could, but they're so long, they're 20 some feet long. So that makes it uneven and unstable. You know, if it was a short, if they were all 8-footers, you probably could pick that up, no problem. But seeing they're 20 some feet long, it makes it unstable going up the hill and stuff. So that's why I'm doing this, you know. Okay, load number 2 wrapped up. I think I will be able to lift that one there now by itself. Well, I got it back there. It was a little tippy, but these should be nothing. These are probably half the weight. Well, I guess I lied about picking up that steel all in one lift. I had to do 3 lifts. That stuff is way heavier than you think. And it's not that the tractor couldn't lift it necessarily, but because it's so long, it's teetering like this here. So I did it in 3 lifts to get that steel moved. But anyhow, we're gonna get back on the farmhouse here. So my plan is, and this was after I sat here and looked at this for a while, instead of bringing that other section down, I'm gonna try and remove this floor here and get this cleaned up so that when I do drop that, I'm working on the ground and not worried about crashing through the floor or whatever. This is really rotten here in spots, and I was walking on it the other day, and it's like, yeah, this is kind of iffy, you know. So there's something I want to show you here, though. I've never seen this before, and probably because I don't take down old farmhouses every day, but you got to look at this. So I went and started peeling up some of this old flooring here, and what's underneath it? Old newspapers. I don't know what they put the newspapers under there for. If it was just for like a cushion, but they're pretty brittle. They're pretty hard to do anything with. But I mean, you can see why I say it. This is all rotten. Stuff all falls to pieces as soon as you touch it. So I'm trying to get to a spot where I can see a date, but it just falls apart as soon as you touch it. Let me put the camera down and let me see if I can find a spot where I can see a date on it. July 30th, 1947. So we found other papers when we cleaned out the house. I have a newspaper saved somewhere that was from the 1940s also. So what I'm assuming is if this says 1947 and the documents we have say that this house was built around 1914 or that's when the property was bought. We don't really know when he's built the house, if he built the house right away. So if this is 1947, this could have been a remodel, you know. They could have put new flooring down and they put the paper down underneath for whatever. I can see it all over here. There's all kinds of it here. Let me see if you can get a close up here. You see the newspaper here? It's all newspaper that was under that flooring. So I don't know. I can only assume that the house was remodeled at some point, or they put new flooring down, and that's why it says 1947 on it. There's nothing here to salvage, really. I mean, this is in really bad shape. Let me see if I can give you a close-up of it. I don't know if you're going to be able to read that, but right here, July 30th. July 30th, 1947. So maybe once I get back further there where it wasn't so rotten, maybe the paper will look better underneath. I don't know, you know. It's too hard to crawl on here and rip this apart, so I'm just going to use the forks and try and pop the floor up and get these logs out of here. And then I want to see if I can bust this concrete up a little bit. That's going to be the issue once I get this house down. If I can't move this concrete, I got to get this concrete out of here. So I might have to get somebody with some bigger equipment to pull up this concrete for me. I don't know. I don't know if my little tractor will do it or not. But anyhow, let's get started here. I'm going to take the forks and we're going to pop this flooring up. And then we're going to try and pull these beams that are on here out. And get down to the sand. It's just sand under there. Or at least that's what it looks like. Well, that's another thing I've never seen before. There's actually a crawl space or something under there where they got steps going down. Let me see if I can get you a better look at it. I don't know how good you can see that, but it doesn't go down too far. Maybe 3-4 feet. There's the steps right there. You know, maybe that was just for storms. Either they all crawled under there when a tornado came or something, and they just sat down there until it was over with. I really don't know. That's we'll have to get this floor off here and see what that looks like underneath there. You can see the logs here, so it's only this wide, and it goes, looks like it goes down that way. You know, basically probably. Yeah, it looks like it goes back to the other wall. So it's probably a little smaller than the section here of house, you know, is what it looks like. It's really something how they had all them poles like that just holding up that floor. What I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and use my finger again in the bucket on the backhoe and see if I can't grab these logs, these bigger logs here, and just kind of, you know, push them off to the side and open this up a little bit here. it's not letting me lift it with the forks and pull it, so I'll just try and move those off and see if I can grab a couple of these here, and then we'll come over here and grab these ones over here or something. There's a little cleaner piece of newspaper. Let's see if I can grab that. There you go. Wednesday, January 18th, 1939. So obviously they saved their newspapers. You got 1947 and 1939 under the same floor. January white sale, Turkish towels, 8 cents each. You don't see that every day. Well, we'll set this aside for a conversation piece. But now you can see how this thing is made here. This crawl space, they just have a couple of logs on the sides over here and a couple back there to hold that all in place. And then the other ones are just supporting the floor. Yeah, I'm assuming that was just for like a tornado. You crawl in there and hide, you know. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know what else you'd put down there. It ain't big enough for anything. So I guess we'll see what's under the other house when we do the other section of the house there. We'll see what's under there. Well, here you go, guys. Here's history if you want history. Most of these are from 1947, the way it looks. So I'm assuming that's when they redid this floor, around 1947. Not sure why they put the newspapers down, if it was like an insulation thing or a cushioning thing or what. But here you go, to reveal huge crown jewel theft in Germany. Peaches, 5-pound bag, 48 cents. Tomatoes, 29 cents a tube. That is really something. Well, I suppose I should pick some of them up, though, at least the ones that are not rotten. You can see how rotten they are over here because it was so much water damage. But some of these, take a couple of these out of the middle for souvenirs, I guess. Well, as I dug into this a little more, we found 3 layers. There was a layer on top of this blue paper, and then the layer below it was 1939, the papers, and then there was this pinker colored paper, and then below that was 1937 papers from 1937. So I'm assuming they did this for insulation, to try and seal up the floor and make the floor warmer. That's all I can assume. This is a Milwaukee Sentinel Extra, Sunday, April 11th, 1937. So I was able to pop that concrete out pretty easy. They just had little short pieces of logs jammed down in the ground, and then they poured that concrete up against it. You can see here's one of the pieces here. It's all rotten away, but that's how they poured that years ago. So it's only down, it's only down so far into the dirt. And I was able to pop that out pretty easy with the backhoe. So we're gonna get this all cleaned up here, and hopefully by tomorrow I'll have most of this cleaned up, and then you'll be able to see that hole a little better down in the bottom there, and we'll get going on that other part. Probably next week we'll drop that other piece. Well, we got most of this cleaned up. What I'm going to do is remove this concrete, and I'm going to try and pull them logs out of that hole, out of that basement, or whatever you want to call it, fruit cellar. I think it was a fruit cellar, or keep their canned goods in, or whatever. Hopefully I can pick these chunks up. I was able to move them with the backhoe, so I'm thinking with the grapple I can just grab them, and we're going to dump them in the hole over here where I dug that stump out the other day, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I think that's about it. Then we're gonna try and go in there with the backhoe and pull them logs out that are holding up the walls in that basement. So other than them poles, you know, that were making the sides of that pit. There was nothing else in there. Let's take a quick look. I just dug down here a little bit just to see if that was anything else down there, and there's nothing there. So that pit, obviously some of the sand has washed in over the years once the roof and everything was rotting and the water was getting in. But it probably wasn't no more than 3 or 4 feet deep at the most. Nobody could have stood down there, I don't believe. So it was just, you know, a couple steps down and go down there and put some stuff down in there, I guess. You know, or it was a tornado shelter. I don't know. I really can't tell you. But we're going to get the rest of this cleaned up, get all this, we got to get all this wood out of here. And then we got to fill this in with clean dirt. So that when we build a pole barn on top of it, you know, it's not going to sink. So we got to get all this out of here. Well guys, I think that's a wrap for this week. I went and got a couple buckets of sand and put it in there in the hole. All the wood was removed, so there's no wood except for what you see along the house there, but that's all part of that structure, so we'll have to get that out in a little bit. But so it was a clean hole, filled it with sand, I packed it down good with the tractor. But I'm sure that's going to sink. This is all sand around here. This is like, right now, because we've had no rain, it's like powder, you know. So even though it seems like it packed down pretty good, it'll probably sink. One good heavy rainstorm and it'll probably sink pretty good. And I'll just fill in some more. But at least we got a nice firm surface now to work on. When this piece falls down, I don't have to worry about falling in through the floor or nothing. And we'll get started on this one later this week or early next week. So this is a wrap. You know, give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one.